Welcome back to the Badass Literature Society, where badasses come together to rate and review novels recommended by you. Hi, I'm Michael.
This is Barbara.
And I'm Lauren.
This month we read Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. It was recommended to us by Sam, who is also a guest on this very episode. Welcome, Sam. If you want to introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, everybody. My name's Sam. I am a close friend of Lauren's. We've been friends for a little over a decade now, and we've been in a book club for going on, I would say, 5 to 6 years. Most of us are moms, so we're reading about a book a month, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, we're excited to have
Thanks
you.
for the recommendation.
Yeah.
Yes, especially for me. I really wanted to read this book, and you.
Yeah, this has been on Michael's list, so he's been trying to force us to read it for what is it, Barbara? At least a year.
Oh, probably.
Yeah. And then you picked it, Sam, and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, we can read that." And it's like, "Okay,
we have
see how it is."
We have to, Michael. They're listener recommendations.
It's the rule of the game.
I know.
They just needed an expert opinion to give them
There
that.
we go.
There it is. Joining in on the bullying. She's going to fit right in. Let's jump in first and talk a little bit about the author. Matt Dinniman is the best-selling author, writer, and artist from Gig Harbor, Washington. He is the published author of dozens of short stories and a gaggle of books. In addition, his art publications, from greeting cards to stationery kits to calendars, can be found in boutique and stationery shops around the world. Also, he strongly feels like a pretentious twat when he writes about himself in the third person. I left that in there because I thought it was very funny.
I like that. He's pretty funny.
Barbara, will you tell us a little bit about Dungeon Crawler Carl?
Sure. This was originally published on September 21st of 2020. The genres are fantasy, science fiction, dystopia, and lit RPG. Depending on the version you have, it is 464 pages, and it currently has a 4.46 on Goodreads, 4.5 on Amazon, and a 4.43 on Fable. It has not been nominated for any awards as of the recording of this podcast, and I can't assume it would since it came out a hot second ago. We do think it's important for readers to know what, if any, representation is in the books we read. So for this book, there are supporting BIPOC characters and supporting characters with disabilities.
Thank you. And Lauren, do you want to give us a brief synopsis of the book before we jump into our discussion?
Sure. The apocalypse will be televised. A man, his ex-girlfriend's cat, a sadistic game show unlike anything in the universe, a dungeon crawl where survival depends on killing your prey in the most entertaining way possible. In a flash, every human erected construction on Earth, from Buckingham Palace to the tiniest of sheds, collapses in a heap, sinking into the ground. The buildings and all the people inside have been atomized and transformed into the dungeon, an 18-level labyrinth filled with traps, monsters, and loot. A dungeon so enormous it circles the entire globe. Only a few dare venture inside, but once you're in, you can't get out. And what's worse, each level has a time limit. You have but days to find a staircase to the next level down, or it's game over. In this game, it's not about your strength or your dexterity. It's about your followers, your views, your clout. It's about building an audience and killing those goblins with style. You can't just survive here. You gotta survive big. You gotta fight with vigor, with excitement. You gotta make them stand up and cheer. And if you do have that it factor, you may just find yourself with a following. That's the only way to truly survive in this game, with the help of the loot boxes dropped upon you by the generous benefactors watching from across the galaxy. They call it Dungeon Crawler World, but for Carl, it's anything but a game. Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. Very nice. So, what did you think about Dungeon Crawler Carl? And remember, no spoilers.
So overall, I enjoyed it. I didn't think I was going to, but I did.
No way.
Okay, I shouldn't say that. I'm not gonna explain myself. It is what it is. Anyways, I think it's a very interesting concept of just a concept in general, and the world building is, I think, done really well. It's not in your face world dumping lore. We're learning about it with Carl, which I think is such a, that's I think my favorite way of learning about the world, with a character who doesn't know anything about it. So we as the reader are kind of experience it just like Carl is. So I find that's, if I'm going to be world dumped, that's how I like to be. I was like, you know what? That doesn't sound great if I finish that sentence. But yeah, so overall I enjoyed it. I love Princess Donut. She's my favorite character. Carl is fine. I think he's a very generic character personally. But yeah, I think what got me hooked on it was just how many different genres. I feel like it is like you have the lit RPG, but you also have like dystopian world going on, and then you have like the dark humor, the comedy. It's a lot of different things, and it's all like my favorite things, and I love that when it's all smashed into a book and it's done well.
So I really enjoyed it. I have been wanting to read Dungeon Crawler Carl for a while. In fact, before Sam picked it for our podcast, I had actually started reading it because I gave up on our other host. I was like, I'm just going to read it myself. And I was about halfway through the book when it was officially picked. But I loved it. I've played lots of video games that are similar to Dungeon Crawler Carl. As a big gamer, I really enjoyed the lit RPG genre and had been wanting to read this series in it for quite a while. It was really good. Like Barbara said, it's very cool to experience and learn the mechanics of the world as Carl does, as you're going through it and kind of getting it from that perspective. So like she said, there's no big lore dump. You're just figuring it out as he is, getting these notifications, popping up in his UI. So yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, honestly, I enjoyed this one a lot more than I thought I would. Just in the sense that I have never, other than one single one shot I did for D&D, like that's the only RPG experience I even had. And so I read the description and I was like, it sounds nerdy, whatever, like it'll be fine. But yeah, I enjoyed it more than I thought I did. I think the audiobook, though, aided in that this time as opposed to taking away from it because the voices were epic. Would it be like a narrator? Is that what you would consider like the voice actor, whatever, was phenomenal. He had different voices for all the different characters. Princess Donut was amazing. And so, yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. Even like the plot and the world building, like Barbara said, I liked that I got to experience the world kind of with Carl instead of it just being like dumped in the front, third of the book where it's just so much information. Like you kind of got to learn throughout and it wasn't too overwhelming. So I enjoyed it.
Lauren, you really hit the nail on the head when you talk about the audiobook. It's not often that you get a narrator that is so capable of voicing so many different characters in so many different voices. And I started the book. I'll tell you that I read it, quote, in two different versions. I started it in paperback because I got it from the library after a heinous hold because it's still really popular even 6 years later. And then I needed to finish it a little bit quicker because we read it for my workbook club. And I'm so glad that I switched to the audio version to finish it up because it added so much character and so much life to the story. It was just a really great choice. So I would say the only other book that I would even think was in this sort of same genre is Ready Player One. I'm not a big video game player, and so that's the only one that really comes to mind that even makes me think of something that's similar.
I completely forgot about that one. So am I
It's a
the
really
only
good
one who
comparison.
didn't audiobook the book? Dang,
think
y'all
so.
are making me feel left out.
I was like, I did like 50-50. So as like always, I read some and then audiobook some.
I always audiobook just because of the phase of life that I'm in, but I think this one was definitely like Michael has shared audiobooks like recommendations with me that are what's it called, like the full cast audio, but it's different people doing the different voices. But like Sam said, this was like one guy doing
them all
of the different
That's
voices. So
impressive.
it was impressive.
Special shout out to Jeff Hayes, who is the narrator for all of these audiobooks.
Yes,
I
done,
think
Jeff.
normally they're called narrator, but voice actor is more appropriate here because it was to the point that Matt Dinniman was catching flack. He's like, why aren't you giving credit to the female narrator who's doing the female voices? And he's like, because it's just Jeff. just the one guy. The fact that should tell you how good this guy is. And it is entertaining. The audiobook is definitely an entertaining way to enjoy this story. So like always, we're not going to go into our individual ratings right now. We've got to wait till the end for that. But our group score for Dungeon Crawler Carl was an 8.5 out of 10. So would you recommend this book? I think for me, I would. I think that there'd probably be some caveat if you're someone who is totally disinterested in lit RPG and kind of this style. But on that same note, if you are, this might be the book that sways you because like I think I tried to sell it to Lauren and Barbara and they're like, that sounds stupid. Why are we going to read a book that has video game mechanics in it? And then, as you could see from their
Tis
comments
true.
just now, they both really enjoyed it. So
Mm-hmm,
I think I would safely recommend this to pretty much anybody. And if they're on the fence about this, this is a good book to see whether or not they might enjoy that.
Yeah, I think if anything, this made me more excited for our upcoming. Like, we're gonna do another D&D one shot here soon, and so now I've got all kinds of ideas. um, but I would definitely recommend it. I think it'd be more of a niche recommendation in the sense that some people that I recommend books to are very exclusively read certain genres and they would not be interested in something like this, but they also don't read sci-fi or things like that. So I think I could safely recommend it to most of my friends, though.
I would definitely recommend this book. Even the only thing that would keep me from recommending this book is if I thought that the person was going to have an issue with the way that Carl talks. And that's all I'm going to say about that for now.
I can see that as well.
That's fair.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah. So, like everyone kind of mentioned, I would be very curious to see if someone who isn't familiar with D&D or just the fantasy genre as a whole, whether they would enjoy this or not. Because I feel like it's an easy enough book to digest in the fantasy setting. Because, I mean, I feel like unless you're buried under a rock, like you'll get the references even if you're not someone who reads these types of books, because like we're all glued to our cell phones, so like you understand UI. You might not call it a UI, but you understand that type of descriptions, I feel like, or someone who's played a video game, so like you're semi familiar with it. So I would be curious to know. They just may miss some of like the little nods that he does to the genre of like D&D or video games, or things that make maybe the joke land or be funnier, but I think overall I think they would enjoy it. But obviously if you're someone who just likes rom-coms or chiclets, or I don't know, just sci-fi, you might not want to pick this up. But if someone who's has more of a broader ranging thing that they want to get into, I don't see why they wouldn't enjoy this one.
All right, for those of you leaving us at this point, don't forget to give us a rating if you like the show, and make sure you're following us on Facebook and Instagram. In both places, our handle is at Badass Lit Pod. We'd love to hear from you. If you've got a book you want us to read, let us know. And now for a short preview of our next episode. Next month, we will be reading A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal.
Why save the world when you can have tea? On the streets of white roaring, Arthi Casimir is a criminal mastermind and collector of secrets. Her prestigious tea room transforms into an illegal bloodhouse by dark, catering to the vampires feared by society. But when her establishment is threatened, Arthi is forced to strike an unlikely deal with an alluring adversary to save it, and she can't do the job alone. Calling on some of the city's most skilled outcasts, Arthi hatches a plan to infiltrate the sinister, glittering vampire society known as the Aetherium. But not everyone in her ragtag crew is on her side, and as the truth behind the heist unfolds, Arthi finds herself in the midst of a conspiracy that will threaten the world as she knows it. From the New York Times, best-selling author of We Hunt the Flame comes the first book in a hotly anticipated fantasy duology teeming with romance and revenge, led by an orphan girl willing to do whatever it takes to save her self-made kingdom. Dark, action-packed, and swoon-worthy, this is Hafsa Faisal better than ever. I don't know if I said her name right, hopefully.
I think you did, yeah. I'm excited for this one. It sounds interesting.
It was one on our wanted to read, I think 2 years ago, maybe.
Vampires, Secret Society, tea.
You and I both had it, Lauren. Yeah, you and I both had it on our list. I don't know if it was last year or I want to say it was just last year. Yeah.
It was just last year. Now remember, the second part of this episode is going to be an in-depth look at Dungeon Crawler Carl. So if you do want to read it and you don't want any spoilers, stop listening now. Come back and listen to this when you are done. Now, for those of you sticking around for the spoilers, here we go. So we'll start off the second half of the podcast like we always do and figure out who is going to win the Badass Character Award. Barbara, who is your nominee?
Princess Donut. Hands down. I loved reading everything Princess Donut. I would be so curious to know how the book would be if we got her point of view instead. I feel like it would just be snide comments about Carl and the way he dresses or lack thereof. So yeah, I mean, Princess Donut, just, I love the snarkiness. I love that it's a cat who can talk, and I love Carl's statement of like the reason why people like cats is because we can't understand them because no one would want to own one if they talk, which is hilarious. I don't think that's true, Carl. I don't think that's true, but funny otherwise.
It was funny. My nominee is also Princess Donut. I think that her character is hilarious. I love the commentary we get from her throughout the book, and can't imagine the book without her. So yeah, she's my nominee for the Badass Character Award.
3 for Princess Donut, plus an honorable mention for Mordecai.
Fair.
We're gonna go ahead and make that a home run for Princess Donut.
She sweeps.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's her commentary and the color that she adds just really brings the book alive.
I will be devastated if he lets her die in any subsequent novel. So I don't know. Maybe somebody needs to spoil that for me so that I don't continue reading this series like I want to. Because if somebody kills Princess Donut, I will not be happy.
I don't think he could. Like, I feel like Princess Donut makes the book. Like I said, Carl is fine. I know it's about Carl. It's his point of view, but
Carl's just okay, you know?
he's just kind of there. He's not the main character of his own story.
So congratulations, Princess Donut. You win the Badass Character Award for Dungeon Crawler Card. Now, before we
She
get into
would
our
be not
discussion
shocked at all.
questions,
No,
What?
she would be like,
Oh, not
that's a
shocked.
given.
like, of course, I'm so charismatic. Why would I not? So before we get into the discussion questions, let's talk a little bit about do a brief overview of the characters. First one is obviously Carl. I'll start. Carl is kind of your everyman. He is a late 20s guy who has just been, I guess, dumped by his girlfriend, found out she was cheating on him. Happens to be outside one night, chasing down her cat that he doesn't even really care for, which is Princess Donut, when the world ends and this this dungeon opens up.
This donut opens up.
This donut opens up. This dungeon opens up and kicks things off. He's a very funny character, I think. As Sam mentioned, he does have some colorful language and commentary that may be off-putting to some readers. I was going to give you an opportunity to comment on that if you wanted to, Sam.
I think that's the beauty of Carl, is that he is a combination of, he doesn't have that much depth that I think, and that lets the reader really sort of step into Carl's shoes. So you're kind of like Barbara said, experiencing the world with him and learning as he goes. But I think the foul language for me, especially his tagline, just makes me relate to Carl so much more.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. Yeah, I definitely agree. Who would like to give us a little background on Princess Donut?
Sam can.
Really putting me on the spot here, guys. I think
Yep.
as much as I relate to Carl, I can also relate to Princess Donut. And Lauren can call me out on this, but I think that her confidence is also what makes her so lovable. Like, she knows who she is. She knows what she brings to the table, even though she's a cat, and she's not going to let anybody, especially Carl, forget that.
And she gives 0 Fs.
Yes.
I love it.
Completely.
Yeah. She's a very proud individual, which makes sense, I guess, for a cat. You know, I don't know if that's like generic cats are just proud animals or something, but yeah.
Well, thank you, Sam, for letting us put you on the spot. So Barbara, Lauren, who's doing Mordecai?
Lauren can. That's your
I
second
knew
favorite,
Mordecai.
right?
That's true. Lauren did.
I
give
did.
him
I gave him an
mention.
honorable mention though, just because of the friggin' audiobook. Man, just like
Now I
don't know.
have to
I wish
listen.
we
See,
could just Michael. It's probably illegal
A
for you to
little
put
clips.
a segment in. It gets it probably you can't probably do that because of copyright. But
No.
like
We cannot. We can
it's
do
amazing.
less
I would
than
Michael
10,
Michael
15
could probably
seconds.
like copy or mimic his voice because he's good at stuff like that. But like I really just liked when he would make announcements and different things because and then he just had like the snarkiest, like funniest, most witty things afterwards. He'd like say these like awful things like you just encountered like I don't even know, I can't think of an example right now, but now you just slaughtered these people, and then it says something like witty or something funny after. So I thought Mordecai was good. Essentially, he was would he be comparable like a dungeon master, and he was guiding their quest,
Yeah,
right?
he's like a guild master, right? Or
Yeah,
something
so
Yeah,
he
that.
was
he's
there.
like their tutorial system kind of in the game.
I think that he's technically called a game guide in the dungeon, but
Yeah.
he's an employee of the
Borat system.
Barat
syndicate,
Corporation.
Syndicate,
Yes.
Yeah. So
And
that's
so
why does he work for the syndicate, like the overall arching people, or is he a subgroup of the company that's hosting this?
He works for
project?
Baran Corporation or
Okay,
whatever,
that's
and
right.
he basically is just tasked with like running the crawls.
Right.
I
But
would
he
think I think work is kind of a stretch.
Yeah.
I get
It's
the
Slave-
vibe.
not
A lot of these
actually
guys like
Slavery.
they're like
Yeah.
indentured servants.
Yeah,
kind of.
endangered servant for
I think
sure.
he's an indentured employee.
Yeah.
What they call him.
It's like, do you want to die or do you
Or
want
run
to
games.
work for us? You
Right.
know?
Lauren, since you loved Mordecai, I will give you a tiny little crumb at the very beginning of book 2. Mordecai has a lot of restrictions put on him, obviously, by the system. He can't tell them a lot. He tells them that all the time. He gets his leash removed at the very beginning of book 2.
Oh, I thought you were gonna
Oh.
say he dies. I was gonna cry.
That would be a big spoiler, not a tiny little crumb. Like,
Lauren, I'm going to help you
surprise,
here.
this
He's
you like
dead.
dies.
Well, I thought Michael was gonna be like, Lauren, I'm gonna just give you a crumb. Like he's dead, so you just might as well not continue. I did think that it was like he had some interesting aspects as far as like his. You guys gonna have to help me. Like not race or not class. Was it race? Like could change.
Yeah,
Race.
he was a changeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like every floor he would like swap or whatever.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. But basically
his backstory is very interesting. I want to learn more about him as a person.
I think we will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Essentially he's committed to helping Carl and Donut survive the crawl. And then he gives advice whether they take it or not. And then he's just hilarious. I just enjoy him. So
All right, Barbara, well, that leads you with our next character, which is a combo, Frank and Maggie.
Frank and Maggie. So, like, overall, we obviously, like, we have subgroups of, like, bad guys, right, in this book. Like, you have the big corporation, you have the subgroup of the company who's running the dungeon, you know, you have all what I would say, like, the CEOs of the world, you know, like, they're all bad guys, technically. And then you have Frank and Maggie, which are fellow crawlers that we've come to find out later in the book. Their Mordecai person, but not Mordecai, obviously, told them essentially, like, for you to survive, you have to murder other crawlers. And so instead of them, you know, killing the mobs in the dungeons, they're actually killing other humans. And so even after we learn about their daughter and all that stuff that happened with that, it's still really hard to empathize with them because they're freaking murderer, you know, like, I don't know. So I'll be curious. Obviously we're going to see more of them because essentially Carl kind of has a target on his back for them because he accidentally killed their daughter. Hard to put the blame here. And so they're kind of the bad crawlers that are gunning from Princess Donut and Carl, essentially, is who they are.
Yeah, I think that's a succinct description. Our next character I will take it is the Maestro, or Prince Maestro. He is the host of a TV show. He's also known as Carl's naughty little piggy.
Gross. Absolutely not.
But he runs in this world there are, since this is like a game show that the whole universe is watching, there are like talk shows that bring crawlers on for interviews and stuff. The Maestro has his own talk show that's a pretty violent and crude one compared to some of the others that we see. And you get he's an interesting character in the sense that there's a lot of little like crumbs dropped that we're going to encounter him again, maybe not on this show, but much later on a different floor of the dungeon, which I thought was kind of cool to kind of set that up this early in the series. Anybody else have anything to add about him? I thought that was probably enough for here.
Yeah. He's another bad guy we're going to encounter.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Our next character is Zev. Who would like to talk about Zev? Lauren, all you.
Hey, I was going to talk about Odette, but I guess I'll take Zev.
You can talk about both. My gift to you.
We'll let you have both. You're welcome.
That's how nice we are.
Zev is also I guess we don't really call them employees, but a servant of the Barant Corporation. And isn't Zev Princess Donut's like outreach person?
I thought
Like
she was for
PR?
both, maybe.
Oh,
Is
so
she
I
like their
think
PR?
Zev actually is an employee. I don't think Zev is an indentured servant.
I
Oh,
don't know.
okay.
It was kind of hinted at that
I
she
thought they were
also,
all kind of
yeah,
coerced into working there.
like she
I
didn't
thought it
seem
was
like
all.
too fond of it either.
I don't
Like,
know.
I know she's like a fish group of people, but like I don't know.
Right. She's a
Remind me.
Korkan, which is the group of
Zev is
people that
essentially
are the owners of the Borat Corporation.
So
but isn't
She's
Zev a
she's not a
producer?
part of the. She's a PR person. She's a low
yeah,
level employee who works PR, and she is not looked highly upon because she's not a member of the current ruling political party.
But
that's right.
isn't she like a
Their system.
producer and like then she and Donut bond over Gossip Girl or some stuff?
Well, that's because whenever they come to a new planet, they consume the media of that planet, and so she's been watching Gossip
Okay.
Girl.
Yeah, they've infiltrated Earth since like the beginning of Earth and times, and have already planned all this stuff that's gonna happen to Earth, and so like
I just
they
remember Donut being like, "Oh my gosh, I have somebody to talk to about
and then
Gossip
they talk
Girl."
about fan fiction.
Yeah.
Gossip Girl fan fiction. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I think at the end she gets a real soft spot for them, doesn't she?
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. Because she got in trouble for like quote unquote warning
Helping
them.
them. Yeah, she got in
Yeah.
trouble helping them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what
cheating.
else to say about Zev, but
I feel like she's gonna play a bigger role. I feel like this was just kind of like a little tiny introduction. I feel like she is gonna be, since they are so popular at the end, like definitely gonna be like their full time like PR person, because you know
I mean, if we're
Princess
comparing
Donut is
like
so famous that they're probably like pulling her all over the place, and she's gonna be that person for them.
if we're comparing it to like the Hollywood system, she's more like a manager. Like she represents them. She picks the shows for them to go on that they're going to get them the best ratings, and so she's doing PR. But I think she's doing more than that. Like Lauren mentioned, it's a more intensive job. But that's Zev. I think you're right. That we'll get more of her. Well, I know that at least in book 2 we get more of her than we did in book 1. What about Odette?
Michael,
Lauren?
you can
We-
have Odette.
No. I like Sam's idea. That was a very kind gift. Go ahead and do Odette.
Well, she's a TV host and is basically, I guess, was a popular crawler.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. She basically is the host of the After Hours. What's it called?
She is the host of Dungeon Crawler After Hours with Odette.
Yes. And so essentially, like the talk show that they go on, Odette runs that. That was really all I was going to say.
I think she gives me like a cross between like a Jerry Springer Oprah type vibe.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
That's
I
an
think that-
Like
interesting
she's
cross.
wildly popular, but she's there to cause chaos.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's fair.
That's a very good.
You also get like some
Smash.
tidbits that her and Mordecai have some sort of a relationship that we don't get a lot of information about.
Well, she was his, like what Mordecai is to Carl and Princess Donut. She was his until that contract ended, and then she's doing this now, is what it seems like. And she's humanoid in the sense, like obviously she's not from Earth, but she's from a planet that is human-esque, is what it kind of felt like. She's an interesting character. I'll be very curious to know how she fits in with them.
Right, because wasn't it like she bought the rights or something to interview Princess Donut, and all of her like exclusive stuff, and so then she's like gonna be following their story. So she's gonna be in the next.
She
100%.
She bought the rights to interview the royal court of Princess Donut.
I feel like she's the reason they are on the map, because she got them first on her. It's not a podcast, her show, and I feel like that's why they blew up as well.
Yeah, that definitely added to it.
Well, yeah, on here it says that she says, "My audience loves you. The longer you stay alive, the more money I make, and there's nothing I love in this universe more than money. Now get back in there and try not to die."
That sounds about right. All right, let's jump into our discussion questions. So the first one is, Carl starts as an everyman thrust into unimaginable circumstances. How does his character grow and evolve from the beginning to the end?
So this might be controversial, but I don't believe he has much growth in this book, which is fine, because since it's such a long series, I don't think we are meant to see such drastic changes all at once for him. I think it's going to be a very gradual change from book 1 versus how many books are going to be out for him. So I would feel kind of weird if it was such a drastic change, because then it's like, well, what else is he gonna do for the rest of like 12 books or however long the series is going to be? So I personally don't think there's much growth. Like, maybe a little, like, as far as his feelings towards certain things, but like secretly we know he loved Princess Donut. He was thinking about like stealing her from his girlfriend, like we get all that internal dialogue from him. So yeah, I personally don't think there's much growth to him yet.
I think that's what makes him so lovable. And you know that he's going to be in it for the long haul, is that he doesn't turn into a Frank or a Maggie
Exactly.
when he's faced with the things that he faces in the dungeon.
Right. He's still himself, which was obviously someone who still is overall a good person, like he's willing to help people, even though in the back of his head he's like, helping these old people, is it better to just have let them die first instead of dragging them through this terrible process? Like he has that, but like who wouldn't think that? Like I think I would be having the same thoughts as him with all of that stuff going on, but he still at the end of the day like is like, no, I'm going to do what he thinks is right, and he is an overall good guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Colorful internal monologues for sure.
Well, I also liked what Sam said earlier. Like, I wonder how much of it, his lack of depth is intentional so that you as the reader are experiencing things like through him, and then like you can grow with him versus seeing like a huge arc. But he did go from not liking the cat to like, they're a great team now. So there's some growth.
Yeah.
I think the other growth that you see is he's one thing we didn't mention is he was in the Coast Guards, or the Coast Guard rather. He was a Coast Guardsman, and so I think part of that military background is he is been trained to be a little more reserved, and so you see, but he has a very strong sense of right and wrong, and you get that like in his internal monologue. So the one growth that I noticed is the scene with Maestro where they're on that talk show and everything about that is wrong. Like that guy's just doing some horrible things, and he is biting his tongue at first, but you see him give in to his sense of morality and then challenge Maestro, which makes, so that's some growth we get a little bit there.
But I feel like that he would have done that regardless. There's no growth about that, I don't think. Like that's who he is as a core person.
Yeah. Maybe the growth is being less reserved and more open about his feelings in situations like that.
I guess.
His secret love of cats, for sure.
Yeah.
There you go. Speaking of cats, do you consider yourself a cat person? And follow up, are you a Princess Donut fan? How does her perspective and personality change and shape the story? So if you had asked me this question when I was younger, up until just recently, I would have said no. I didn't really like cats. I thought I was allergic to cats. And then Barbara and I bought a home, and we inherited a cat that the previous owner was feeding. And we fed her, and then one day she showed up to eat and brought her 3 kittens with her. And we were not able to keep all 3, but we did keep one of them. And that is Barbara and I's first cat. And since we adopted him and have brought him into our lives and decided to keep him, I would say I kind of am a cat person. I really I love our cat. I've learned I'm not allergic to cats, which is also nice. But yeah, so I would consider myself a cat person now, also a dog person. I just love animals. I love Princess Donut, though, to move on to this question. I think that she is an incredible character. I'm excited to see where that goes. All of the scenes where she's, just hamming it up were hilarious, especially since she was a show cat. It's funny to see that translate into her personality now that she can talk and things in the dungeon. So I mean, it shapes the story in a lot of ways, but I think a lot of it is comedy, but she's also kind of the softer side of things too sometimes. I really enjoy her character.
How is she soft? I feel like she's not. Like she's like, who kills that? Who cares that we killed the babies, Carl? Like,
I mean, like with the when they get an opportunity to pick a pet at the end, like
sure.
And she picks the baby velociraptor.
Yeah, it's the economy of her character is like certain things. I feel like Carl is going to be like, oh, he's like feeling terrible about maybe murdering a bunch of like, what are they, goblin babies? And then you get Donut, Princess Donut, who's like, who cares? Like, moving on.
I would have to say that I'm not a cat person. We have only ever had dogs in my family. And I'll be honest, cats kind of scare the patootie out of me.
Right.
I think I probably watched an X-Files or something when I was a kid where the cat stole your breath and having
That's a
them
thing.
around is
Yes, that's a lore.
it's it doesn't make me like Princess Donut any less. Like I said, I can definitely relate to her a lot with her confidence. We'll put it that way in a nice version. And she brings a little bit more flair to the story that Carl doesn't have. She's a great juxtaposition for Carl.
Yeah, completely agree.
I'm gonna need more info on that later because that's nightmare fuel about the cat stealing your breath.
I read a book that had a cat, like, secondary character that she didn't talk or anything like that, but the reason why the world was ending was because cats were the ones who were carrying this, like, parasitic thing, but it didn't affect them, but it turned everyone else into zombies, like human into zombies. And it was because the cats at night were laying on people's chests and breathing their air and passing it that way.
God.
Yeah, and when you said that, I was like, girl, I know exactly. Like, I've seen stuff I've read a book like that, and I was like, what the heck?
That's terrifying. Well, I am absolutely not a cat person. I'm allergic to cats, so I can't be around them for too long, and they make me sneezy / itchy for days. I like cats in the concept, but I can't have them. But 1,000% a fan of Princess Donut. Would probably sneeze for days if I could be in her presence for 5 minutes.
I was going to say, for clarity, when Lauren says like she likes cats in principle, like if she sees a cat, she will love up on it knowing that she's going to get hives and be miserable later.
Depends how friendly the cat looks, you know?
It's true.
I mean, that's some dedication there, friend.
Like if I get to meet Fujin, because I still haven't met their cat that Michael was talking about in person. I haven't gotten to meet Fuji. But if I get to meet Fujin, you better believe I'm going to pet him and then I'm going to regret it. But he's so cute. Anyway, but Princess Donut, like I said earlier, she makes the book for me, honestly. I do like Carl, and I think Carl's funny, and I like Mordecai, and I think I like a lot of the characters. But Princess Donut, the book would not be... I probably would not have given it what I rated it without Princess Donut. So, and if you happen to be an audiobook person, like I said before, Princess Donut, the voice he does for her sounds like Stewie from Family Guy, but like a female version, and it's epic.
So prior to owning my first cat, I wouldn't have considered myself a cat person per se. I love animals, and I have secretly fostered kittens when I was younger, much to my parents' chagrin and not their knowledge.
Secretly? Did you hide them in your room?
I hid them in my room. Yes, I did. We're definitely a family of dogs, and I couldn't keep them because I actually am allergic. My whole family is allergic. I think my dad's the only one who's not allergic to cats. So I've never actually owned one until now, but yeah, I take allergy pills every day and I still shove my face in his fur and then have no regrets when I can't breathe later on. I love P Donut, you know, she's my favorite character. I think she brings a lot of humor and lightness to what otherwise I feel like would be kind of a depressing setting, because it is literally like, yes, it's all fun and games, haha, but like if you get down to it, like the world ended, millions of billions of people died, and then we're here watching even more people dying. So it's like, if you take the funny the humor aspect out of the book, like it's a very depressing book if you think about it. And I think without her, it would be a completely different book, because it would just be Carl kind of like having this, you know, whole issue of like, the human race as a whole is pretty much going extinct and I'm watching it live, you know. And then she is a cat, and it gives you this kind of like childlike wonder to everything, because she is kind of childish in the sense like she's an animal and doesn't understand certain things about the human aspect of what we're going through. But it's freaking hilarious watching her go through that and experience it and seeing her. So yes, I think makes the book, and like everyone mentioned.
All right, moving on to our next question. Discuss the dynamic between Carl and Donut versus other crawler partnerships we see. What makes their partnership effective?
I felt like they balanced each other out with their strengths and weaknesses instead of maybe being in competition. Not that they didn't compete in aspects, but I also feel like that they were able to rely on each other and effectively utilize just the different. So like there's a question, it might even be, nah, it's a few questions down that I'll talk about it more. But I think like their stats and stuff were balanced too. But I don't know enough about that to like I know that Princess Donut had a ton of charisma, which I know is helpful with things. And I don't know. We'll talk about that later. But I felt like that they were a good little team, even though they did have some entertaining conflicts and like the "God damn it, donut!"
Yes, his catchphrase.
Yeah, I'll say back to what Michael said earlier about Carl having been in the Coast Guard. I think he had that follows orders mindset really drilled into him from his military experience. And Donut just naturally fills that leader role, regardless of if she's good at it or not. That can be discussed later, but it's not having a really strong-willed character really butting heads with another strong-willed character, and that's I think the beauty of them working together is they're not so much in competition for who's in charge necessarily.
I feel like it's hard to say about the other teams because we don't see too much about the dynamics of other teams. Like we meet the old folks home team and then like they work together and then you see Maggie and what is his name, Fred or something like that, I don't know, whatever the other dude's name is, and they're like a completely different dynamic of a team. And then we see other teams just like from the recap of what they have like every couple of days, so we don't know what the actual relationship between that is. But like everyone else mentioned, I just feel like they complement each other really well. They know their strengths and weaknesses and they're not afraid to listen to each other. And like Sam mentioned, like Carl does take directions from Princess Donut like really well, which is shockingly, like most people would be like, no, you're a cat, like you're gonna listen to me. But he's like, okay, like sure, let's do it. I think they work well because they have each other's back and they're not afraid to listen to each other's ideas and be like, okay, let's bounce off of each other. This is what I'm good at. This is your skills. Let's combine it, and this is how we're gonna do it.
I think you guys pretty well covered this. I don't have a lot to add. I think I'll comment briefly on what Lauren said at the beginning, that she thought that their stats were very complementary of each other. They were very much. If you were building an RPG party, they absolutely complement each other in that Princess Donut is the ranged mage and Carl is the upfront melee fighter. You need a combination of the two, and their skills are also very complementary. So
that was the vibe I got, but I don't know enough about like RPG stuff to like confidently say it.
From a true RPG standpoint, absolutely, they were complementary. Speaking of RPGs, have you ever read a book in the lit RPG, which stands for literary role-playing game genre, before? Do you have any experience playing RPGs? And how do you think, if you have had those experiences, how do you think those experiences or lack thereof affected your enjoyment of this book?
I will be the first to admit that I have played exactly 2 video games in my life, Duck Hunt and Mario, which I don't think either of those
Very
quantify
deep
as
RPGs
RPG.
for sure, yeah.
Yeah. So it was fun for me to experience Carl going through the dungeon and exploring all the different menus and interfaces and that sort of thing. It was all kind of new, and I probably missed a lot of those more subtle nods, like Barbara mentioned, to some of the RPG world, but it didn't personally for me make it any less enjoyable. And I would say, would Ready Player One quantify as an RPG?
It's funny when you mentioned that, I completely forgot about that, but I 100% would say that counts.
That is probably the only book that I would say that I have read in this genre.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that book. So when you mentioned that, I was like, oh snap! I think I would consider that a lit RPG. I don't know, Michael. I guess you're more familiar with that.
So it's tricky because I think Ready Player One came out before lit RPG was really solidified as a book genre.
Sure, but
But
still,
it definitely has some characteristics, I think. You see less of the gamified stuff, like the managing the statistics and talking about the UI and the inventory and all that kind of stuff. But I think it was definitely a precursor to the lit RPG genre, for sure.
Okay, fair. So I was going to say I've never read a book in the lit RPG, and then Sam mentioned Ready Player One, and I read that. So I think that's the only other book that I have that maybe might be like this, but this one's definitely like the more hardcore one of it. As far as experience with playing RPGs, yeah, Michael really wanted during COVID to play D&D, and I was just like meh about it, because I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard of D&D, I would think like, oh, it's a, a nerdy thing and a no thank you, not really for me. And I think I'm actually more into it maybe than he is, in the sense that it's literally for book girlies who love to read. And if you ever read as a kid, I'm gonna totally age myself here, I don't even care, R.L. Stein's like pick your own adventure books, that's what D&D is, except
I
even
love
more
those.
control, because it's literally you're picking you are the player, and you pick what your adventure is going to be. And so I'm still, I think, playing 2 campaigns, long running campaigns. Michael's a DM for one of, or whatever it's called. I don't know, it's not a dungeon. What is it? Game
GM is
Master?
correct. Dungeon Master.
GM, sorry, GM.
DM. No, DM, you were right.
DM.
Dungeon
Oh,
Master.
Dungeon
whatever.
Master.
Well, you
For
said
D&D,
like
that's what they call it.
Okay.
GM is more of it covers like all the different games you might play.
Gotcha. So I am in those 2. I've played a few one-shots here and there. I love Baldur's Gate 3. I have spent an ungodly amount of time playing that game. It definitely is one of my favorite games. I just love character creation, and it's just a blast doing that. So, yes.
So, not surprisingly, probably to anybody, I have read a fair amount of the lit RPG books. I enjoy them. The Wandering Inn is another really good one. If anybody out there listening is looking for a recommendation, hasn't heard of that. I have played RPGs, both D&D and other tabletop games like Call of Cthulhu. I have also played lots of RPG video games. That's probably my favorite genre. The Witcher games, Skyrim, or the Elder Scrolls in general. So I've been playing RPGs for a long time. I think that, if anything, those experiences enhanced my enjoyment of the novel, because some of the more Easter eggy stuff that you don't necessarily have to understand, like Sam was mentioning, to enjoy the story and get into it. But if you do get it, then there's that other level of the joke that you're understanding, because you are a gamer, or you are someone who's into RPGs, and so that was fun. I really enjoyed the way some of that was intertwined.
Yeah, I feel like some of the jokes went over my head, but that's okay. Like I mentioned, I've only done like the one-shot D&D game. Have no real other RPG experience. I've also never read anything even remotely like this. And like I said in the beginning, I thought I would not enjoy it for those reasons, but ultimately ended up really liking it. And now I kind of want to read the next one. I enjoyed the fact that it was like, I think had they written it any other way, like to where I couldn't learn alongside Carl, I wouldn't have enjoyed it. But I enjoyed like the descriptions of like, oh, and then like a text box appears like in front of me, like I'm just picturing, walking through this dungeon, and then like, I don't know. So I enjoyed it, but I do think that a lot of like things probably went over my head.
So, speaking of lit RPG, the lit RPG elements like stats, skills, and levels are central to the story. Did the game mechanics enhance or distract from the narrative for you, and how do you think they affected the pacing of them?
So I think for me, it did a bit of both, because at first I thought it was really interesting, but at least for me, it quickly became a bit sluggish reading it, and I found myself kind of skimming those sections after a while. I'll be curious to know if for the future books, if we're gonna keep getting more of that. Like, I know some people really find that interesting, but after a while, I'm just like, cool. I'm not keeping tabs of all this stuff. It makes sense for this genre. I get why it is, but I definitely found myself after a while just kind of skimming those parts. Except for like the creepy AI that liked Carl's feet. I thought that was kind of funny. Like, whenever those stats went in there, I thought that was kind of funny, because reading like the little block of like what the item or whatever does, and it was just like, yeah, you put those nice shiny toes to use, Carl. It was like, what?
I'll say the AI got a little much for me at one point. But I didn't think that any of the stats levels took away from it. It really helped Matt keep the book on pace, especially when they started putting time limits on things. You have to make it to the next exit or level down by this much. You only have this much time, or you receive these consequences. So that way it can't just linger on a level and you can't get essentially stuck anywhere in the story. Now, I will say the one thing that I really didn't care for was the AI reading the winnings of each loot box. I felt like it was much too repetitive. And once you got through like 1 or 2 boxes, we got the point. We don't need to listen to you open all 20.
Yeah, agreed.
That's fair. Yeah.
It's definitely fair for the achievement boxes. The loot boxes. I got confused because I was going to say I really enjoyed the achievements. Like when he got an achievement for something, I thought that was visually pretty funny. I think Barbara, the one you were referring to earlier, I looked it up. This little piggy went to market.
Yes.
When he killed something with his bare feet, and the AI literally said, "You've killed more than 5 opponents using your bare feet. You're making Daddy very, very happy."
Yeah.
It referred to itself as Daddy.
So funny. Yeah.
It's creepy.
It is creepy. It's crazy.
But it was. I mean, I thought some of that was funny. I don't think it took away from or distracted from the narrative. I think that in this genre, you expect that, and so it's part of the narrative. But I do agree with what Sam said about the loot boxes. They did get a little tedious when it was the same thing over and over again without a lot of discrepancy, and maybe that's something that will improve in the future books. I'm not sure, but that was the only thing about the lit RPG elements that did feel a little.
Yeah, I felt like because I'm not super familiar with the lingo that I tended to just tune out a lot of the stat details, like especially because I was listening and not actually reading it. So I feel like they would start talking about like the points or levels or like whatever, and I just I enjoyed the really entertaining announcements. That was like one of my favorite parts of like the game master, whatever I'm gonna call him, like new achievement, like you killed a mob with your effing bare hands or something. Like, so those were entertaining. That whole aspect of them like earning things or losing things and describing that, I thought that was all entertaining. But as far as like the actual stats, skills, levels, points, like really like details of it, I found myself not paying a whole lot of close attention to that because none of it, like I haven't played enough RPG stuff to like really connect with some of that. So I feel like a lot of that went over my head, but it didn't take away from, I mean, I still, obviously this is one of my highest rated books in probably this year. So
I think it definitely is your highest rated book this season. Yeah. Moving on to our next question. Did the humor in the book work for you? Did you feel that the author effectively balances the humor with the dark subject matter like Earth's destruction, constant death? Did you consider the book to be a dark comedy, a horror novel, or both? So, I mean, I think the humor was very effective. I like dark humor, though, so maybe that's not everybody's bag, but I thought it was very funny. It actually made a bigger impact, I feel like, because you would get so distracted by the humor and the comedy and what's going on, and then Matt would drop like a bomb of like reminding you like, hey, by the way, like 1 million people died while you were reading that last chapter, and it's like, oh, shit, you forget that the dark is there, and so it made for a nice dichotomy between the two. I would consider the book more of a dark comedy. I didn't think about it being a horror novel, but I do think that if you described the book, it's like, yep, one day the world is just destroyed and most people die, and then you're in a dark, damp place fighting monsters. Like, people might think, oh, that could be a horror novel. And
yeah,
in some
it could
like,
definitely
there's a way you could describe
turn into a horror novel.
Or it would be.
Yeah.
But I think I'd probably describe it more of a dark comedy than a horror novel. Maybe dark comedy with elements of horror, because there's definitely some of that there.
I also loved the dark humor, but I like dark humor. I was laughing, and I don't always laugh like out loud at books. Sometimes it's just like a little chuckle. But there were times that I like laughed out loud in embarrassing settings too, because I listened to the audiobook. So like my girls, this is probably a tangent, but like they take swim lessons, and so like I take that opportunity to like walk laps around the pool and like listen to my audiobooks. And so I'm listening to it and I'm walking and like just start cracking up, and people are probably looking at me like I'm crazy because I have like curly hair, so you probably can't even see my AirPods in, and I'm just like this crazy lady's walking laps around the pool like laughing.
That is amazing.
I don't know. So people probably have labeled me like that weird mom that laughs at herself. Like, I don't know. But
there goes that mom that talks to herself.
Walks around the pool and just chuckles to herself.
I know. Like, it was, but there definitely were a lot of times where like he would say some of the darkest things, but like make it said in like a funny way, and I just thought they were hilarious. I thought the balance was good.
The comedy definitely took it from horror up to dark comedy for me.
Agreed.
I was honestly a little bit taken aback by how the author gets so descriptive with the battle scenes, I'll call them, and with the monsters that they have to face. And I mean, there are horror elements in it, especially considering like some of the monsters are humans that have been enslaved. Spoiler alert.
Right.
So it's some of it kind of gave me the ick, grossed me out, but I'll be the third to acknowledge that I love a good dark comedy, and I think that's what made me enjoy the book so much.
Yeah, I think we're 4 for 4 here. I think my favorite type of comedy might be dark comedy. I think the ability to laugh at something like this when all you want to do is like curl up in a little corner and just cry is what makes this book, like Sam mentioned, going from the horror to a dark comedy, because if you remove that, like, you really do, it's a horror book, because it's like the world is ending, humans are extinct, essentially trying to compete to survive. And so it's just that's, I think, what keeps it from being just straight up horror novel. And I think the reading their first, is it a burrow boss, I think is what they're called. The first burrow boss was literally like a
Yes.
human woman who got like kind of transmogged into a massive trash monster thing.
Right.
And then if you know Spanish, or if you even attempted to translate the Spanish, like, you know exactly what she's saying. And like that, like, you forget that it's a kind of horror-esque book until like he brings you to these types of scenes where it's like, yeah, they just murdered a poor woman that probably was in a building and transmogged her into this monster that you have to fight. And it's like, if you really think about it, like, that's insane. And very like, if this was in a horror book, I would be like, oh my gosh, what is happening? So yeah. Like, I think without the dark comedy and the humor, without the humor of it, this definitely would be a very different book, and I'm not sure if I would enjoy it as much as I did with the comedy.
I definitely would not have enjoyed it as much without the comedy, I don't think.
Yeah.
All right, our next question. Which floor or challenge was most memorable to you and why?
I'll go ahead and jump in here. I think the first floor was probably the most memorable to me, just because it's that shock factor of the first experience that he has. Not that the next floors didn't get a little bit crazier, we'll say, but just I kind of like the goblin murder dozer that he experiences first. Just because the goblins were such dodos, it just made it so entertaining. I didn't enjoy some of the more descriptive battles, I'll say.
Fair enough.
I liked the one where Princess Donut was blasting the enemy, saying, "Die, mother, die." But I don't remember which one it was.
It was the one
the
with
dingoes.
the kobold and the dingoes and like the
Yes, the
giant hamster,
dingoes!
because they were like,
scared
they were
dogs.
drunk.
Yes.
Because
Yep,
of the potion they had to drink to not get, or no, the tentacle. It was the tentacle one.
that was the most memorable for me.
Yeah. I feel like the one that hit hard, and it's once again his first burrow boss that he has to fight, and I've already mentioned that, just because up until that point, like, it was kind of like all fun and games. Like, the goblins weren't really much of a hard thing for Carl and Donut to deal with, and you like get all these funny aspects, and then it's kind of, you're brought back to reality and realize, like, these are real people that got turned into these monsters, and they're killing these people, and they potentially might die while doing this. So it kind of just, I feel like, humanizes what they're doing more, you know. And the one thing I'm going to say that I had an issue with overall in the book is how a few of the women were portrayed. I had an issue with that because the obsession, and I feel like, and I'm gonna go on a tangent here. The obsession that men have in describing women's bodies is something that I will forever have a problem with, because you don't hear them describing men the same way. So don't describe women the same way. And I'm not gonna go into this massive tangent about it, but that's all the only thing I'm going to say about that. But definitely feel like that was the most memorable, just because it definitely brought home to me what the heck is actually going on, and the fact that we potentially might see humans turned into these things, and it's kind of depressing to think about.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think that for me, the challenge that was most memorable was probably the rage elemental. So we get various announcements throughout the game that the administrators are clearly getting pissed off because people are using the bathroom wherever they feel like, instead of in the designated, right, no pun intended, instead of the designated zones. And so eventually they get so angry, they're like, if we catch you doing it, it's a level 93 rage elemental will be summoned to dispatch you. And the characters at this point are like level 10, level 11 at the highest, I think. So just the it's obviously a very intense scene when that happens, because they're fighting something that's way overpowered, but it's also comical in the sense that this old guy decided to take a leak in the middle of the dungeon, and all of a sudden now they're in this
It's
life
sad
or death
though, because
scenario.
it's like all these little old people, and like we lose characters, and this is the first time you actually lose characters, because like we're not gonna lose Donut and Carl yet, all right, like hopefully ever. But it's kind of sad, because you do get, I mean, I got a little attached to like some of these old people. you know
It was, and that's why I think it was a memorable scene.
it was.
Barbara emotionally bonded with the old people.
I emotionally bond with characters in this. I always do it, and I know I shouldn't, because I get super upset when they inevitably pass away, because they're not, obviously, like, this is a dungeon where people are dying left and right, so like it's bound to happen, and I knew it was going to happen, and it sucks anyways.
All right, next questions. Carl kills a lot of people. Are the lives he takes morally justified, evil, somewhere gray and in between? Consider the intelligent mobs, particularly the room of babies.
Not the babies. Think that it's hard, because I feel like I was like Carl, in the sense that you're put in such a difficult position where the name of the game is to murder these things, but you have to think, and I feel like Carl kind of understood this after the fact. It's when these more intelligent creatures are like talking to them after like they turn into not friendly, but like they call them non-hostile, I guess, creatures to them, is like you kind of learn more about their personalities, and then like right when they're about to get killed or having that happen to them, they always mention like, oh, but we were promised this and this and this. So like in the back of my head I'm thinking, are these just like these other creatures, or like what's happening to Earth, and the fact that they didn't get a say in doing this? They're pretty much forced to partake in the games, and instead of crawlers, they're the enemies of the crawlers. Like, do we learn that, is it like maybe they were potentially crawlers, and then they got a choice, instead of like Mordecai or Adet, they're like, either you die or you can defend your little subgroup of people, and then if you do well you move down further levels? Do we like, because the AI kind of is joking around and like, oh, maybe they do reanimate and they're not actually like permanently dead, and haha, just kidding, they are. So it's like, what do you believe? Are they actually truly dead, or will they just quote unquote respawn, in a future game or something like that? And are they AI, are they real? Like, it's very hard to tell. So I feel like it's hard, it's an in between, because it's like you feel for these creatures, because maybe they aren't here because they want to be, but at the same time you have to self preservation, essentially, and they're doing the same thing. So it's like, it's interesting. It's a very interesting question, and I don't know how to answer that.
I mean, I think Barbara really hit the nail on the head with that. It's tough. Like they're in a situation that is tough, and I think that Matt Dinniman did a really good job at showing like you see like the violence, and the violence is like, oh, video gamey fun violence, they're taking out the goblins, but then like Barbara said, always at the end it was like, oh, But then they're going to have this one line where they said, no, they promised they'd protect our families if we did this. And it's like, whoa, like the whiplash of that was very effectively utilized. And I think it's hard to say. I mean, are the lives he takes morally justified? From his perspective, probably, because he's protecting himself and Princess Donut. But yeah, it's hard to answer.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add on this one, other than the room full of babies did bother me, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But
They were really pulling at your mom heartstrings there,
Yeah.
regardless of what type of babies they were.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, I'll say I didn't really have a problem if it was like a creature that he was killing, like the goblins or what have you. But once it got to the part where they had enslaved the woman and some of the higher up levels, it did get kind of difficult. But you guys hit the nail on the head.
I will say, when I was writing this question, it also made me think of, like, stick with video games here since that's part of it. Like, people play the game Grand Theft Auto, and it's like you don't know who these people are. It's random civilians, so a lot of people are stealing cars, random violence. No one thinks much about it. And then there's another game that came out called Watch Dogs, where you can do the exact same stuff. It's in an open world, but you have this ability where you can scan each person you see, and it tells you a little bit about them. So it's all of a sudden not some random guy on the street you're going to punch. It's a dad who's going back to school or something like that. And there's all of a sudden a different moral there. It's like, oh, well, now I kind of feel bad about running up and hitting this random thing with the baseball
Punching
bat.
someone in the middle of the street for their lunch money? Gosh.
Right. Well, yeah, because GTA, like, you just, I don't know, like, people just hurt people in that game for fun. Like, just, oh, there's a hooker, I'm going to run her over. Like, I remember my mom was, like, mortified when Michael bought that game, and then she's watching it. She's like, Michael, is that a hooker?
I can
She's
see
even
Mom
more
say
mortified
that.
because Lauren
And the
had convinced
language.
Dad to buy it for me. So it was like a Christmas or birthday present from Lauren, but that she got Dad to buy because
I got Dad to buy it, and Dad doesn't look at stuff like that, so he just bought it. And then my mom, like, sees him playing it and hears the language and then looks and sees the hooker, like, leaning in the car window, and then Michael just, like, boom, and, like, hits her with his car, and she's like, Michael Christopher.
All right, moving on to our next question, though. The dungeon is a giant televised spectacle. How does Dinniman use the AI, the Borant Corporation, and the viewers on intergalactic talk shows to critique the gig economy, reality TV, and the exploitation of the working class? So I think that he really effectively does a lot of this, and in ways that makes it funny and also not too, I don't want to say too intellectual because that sounds rude, but at a level where it's not too wordy. It's not too, like, there are some books that, like, I love reading books that have, like, in-depth political machinations and stuff like that. Barbara and Lauren hate books like that because it's too much going on and they don't want to try to follow all the politics. And
Okay,
everything.
it's not that it's too much going on. Let's get one thing straight, okay? Let's get one. It has nothing to do with that. It's the fact that I don't like politics. It has nothing to do with I don't understand. Like, it's too much going on in my pea-brained woman brain.
Oh my god, I didn't say that.
That's exactly what you said. No, I'm just joking. I'm totally just...
I enjoy talking about politics, but I think sometimes, especially when our world is, like,
that's my problem. I am trying to stay away from this because I'm dealing with it every day. So sometimes I just need a detox. And when a book has too much of that, I'm like, I you know what? I just want a Princess Donut shooting magic missiles at people.
Anyway, in this book, he does a really good job criticizing that stuff because you see, like, reality TV specifically, you see these talk shows, especially the one that the Maestro runs, that is clearly all about exploitation and violence and trying to get, like, they're literally watching and they're like, the crowd is like, are they about to die or not? And they're like doing these weird, like, what was it, like sploot sound? I don't know what the sound was. They were yelling
glug.
something. Glug glug or glurp glurp.
It reminds me of the Squid Games. Did you guys watch that?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Like, it reminds me of Squid Games, where at the end you figure out that it's like all these rich people literally watching these people fight for their lives.
Bidding on it.
Just for money and just for shits and giggles. Like, what the heck?
And that's kind of what we see here. So, like, the Borant Corporation and the overall, I guess, universe sees the planets that they're conquering for entertainment as working class. I think that's the comparison you make there. And so since they're less than, then we can do and use them for our own fun and entertaining games.
So let me make sure that I understood this, and I'm curious to know if you guys got this too. Like, towards the very end, when he's having the talk show with the what was his? I don't know, the weird prince dude. I forgot his name. The maestro. Doesn't he? Because like I think Carl asked him like, "Oh, were you one of the planets that got taken over, and then this is what you're doing now?" Type thing. He's like, "No, like our planet was rich enough we could pay him off." So is that essentially what happens? It's like they go to a planet, and whether you can pay off these corporations so they don't put you in the games versus you don't pay them off and you're stuck at it. That's essentially how that happens.
We don't know. You just described the one tidbit that Dinniman gave us in this book about that overall system. We don't know.
Interesting. Okay. Making sure I wasn't sure if I understood that or not.
Maybe that's one of the themes that he explores in the rest of the series. And for those that don't know, there's going to be 10 books
10.
total.
Okay, interesting.
They're on, I think, number 8 just released. Yeah, Michael.
Wow, so there's only 2 left. Interesting. Yep. I'm curious, so, because there's 18 floors, so I wonder if it's just going to be, like, quick going through the floors then? Or maybe we don't get to level 18? Interesting. Sorry, I'm like going way over not what we're talking about currently.
You're fine. That's all I had for this question. If somebody else wants to jump in.
No, I don't have anything to add on this one either.
Yep, I think you did a good job. Golf claps for you.
The only thing I would mention is how Michael mentioned earlier, like I'm not a fan of like the political aspects of stuff. The way that this book did that, though, I like that because it's not all in your face. It's like Carl discovering, like, hey, here's the bigger picture. Like, you are in this tiny little stupid game that you have to do, but like, there's all these CEOs of these like massive corporations kind of puppeteering everything, and like everything else is just kind of like insignificant, even though to you it's the most significant thing because you're stuck here having to provide entertainment for these people, and all the outer, like the inner workings of what's going on above the whole dungeon crawl, like he's thinking about and he's acknowledging it. And then you get Princess Donut, who's just about the crawl, who wants to amass as many followers and all this stuff. And then you have Carl, who's like seeing the bigger picture, is like, okay, like, yes, we have to do this, but like, I want to stick it to the man and they're not going to break me. So I found that really interesting. And if we're going to be critiquing stuff, this is how I like to be fed. I don't like it when it's slapped in my face, like, this is what's happening, over explained. Like, you learn about it slowly and you get to do, I feel like, the work and being like, oh, is this right? Is this wrong? What are we talking about here? It's more subtle. I don't like in your face stuff. So I would just want to say kudos to him about this, because if you're going to put this in a book, this is how I like to ingest it. So
moving on, was there anything you felt wasn't answered in the book? What do you hope to see happen in the next books in the series, and do you plan to read them?
It ended on a cliffhanger, which I should have seen coming because I knew that there were subsequent books, but whatever. I need to see Donut be a mommy to Mongo, the velociraptor that she adopted.
The chicken.
At the very end of this book, it mentions that in the next book there will be killing of hookers or something, dead hookers and clowns, I think is what he says. And
I forgot about that. I was like, what are you talking about?
Well, I have sympathy for the dead hookers. I'm okay with that, reading about that, I guess, but I don't love clowns, so I'm not super looking forward to the clown aspect in the next book, but I will still read it because I need to see Donut be a mommy to Mongo, and I need to see what happens with all of the things that I'm invested in at this point emotionally. So.
Well, I'll admit that it's been a minute since I've read this book, so I did listen to bits and pieces of it again. I don't remember what the cliffhanger was that the book ended on. It does seem really daunting to me that there are 10 in a series.
It essentially just ended where they make it to the next level, but then like you don't get to find out
like
what
happens.
They're about to choose their race and their class.
Like you don't know what their next race and class are. You don't know what happens next, and so like kind of closure because they survive to the next, but also like knowing that it's just gonna, like, I feel like he's just gonna continue to turn up. And so
I think if I had any questions that were left unanswered in this book, I think it was 100% by design, in order for him to have a lot more to build on coming in the coming books. So I had one of the ladies in my workbook club loved this book so much, she went on to consume the next 4 books in approximately a week and a half. It was a
Oh
little
crap!
bit nuts. She
That's
burned
crazy.
through them. And then
Dang.
she got a little bit overwhelmed and had to stop. So I have not read the second book yet. I will admit that by the end of listening to this one, I was a little bit over it and I needed to detox and go maybe to something a little bit lighter. I have not made it back to the second one yet.
I can definitely see
I
that.
will say on that note, Sam, that I literally finished book 1 and immediately started reading book 2. I'm about halfway through the second book already, so I was not quite as not quite the fervor of your coworker, but definitely jumped right in. And also, just a quick commentary on what Lauren was talking about. I love it when Lauren knows that Barbara and I have finished a book and she is finishing it, because we get live commentary of her reactions.
They do. I text them as I'm reading.
And my favorites, because they fit to this question. Hang on one GD second. Did he just curb stomp a gerbil and call it daddy tax? Oh my God, Mongo is a baby velociraptor. It's great. I love it. I love it when that happens.
I was shook as when he curb stomped the gerbil. I was like, did that really just happen? And then they're like, and that's what we call daddy tax. I was like, what the heck?
I still don't understand what that meant. Maybe I'm just stupid.
Because he stomped on it with his bare feet, and the AI calls itself daddy.
Oh,
with the bare feet, like the AI likes to see.
I forgot that the creepy egg. I think I just removed
Yeah,
that from my mind because it's creepy. Because it's creepy.
Your brain is just blocking it out.
Yes, my brain is like, nope, not today, Satan.
As far as this question, I think that the big one was the race in the class. Obviously, everybody wants to know that, and he leaves that off. That's it was very effective to the point that I literally started reading the second book like that night
to know what they picked. Yeah,
because I wanted to know that, and then I just kept reading.
And I was like, Michael, give me spoilers. He's like, no, read it yourself. And I'm like, no.
And will I read them? I've already bought the entire series, all of them that are out at this point. I own, so I plan to read all of it. I really enjoyed it. I hope I can drag Barbara and Lauren kicking and screaming with me on the journey.
I'm on a wait list for book 2. I'm surprised they're still as popular as they are.
We should, you know what we should do? Like, this is going to take us 8 years, so maybe we should do it more quicker than that. But I was like, once it's not a semester. What is it? Season. Once a season, we get all 4 of us back together to read the next book. But then this is going to take us 10 years.
So here we go.
I'm not sure of the longevity of this podcast. If we're gonna, who knows? Maybe for another 10 years. But
who knows?
Yeah. Okay. I would just say no. I don't think there were any questions that felt unanswered to me, because I think he did a really good job of keeping readers engaged and wanting to read the next book in the series. Like Sam mentioned, I feel like it was intentional because he presented enough answers in this first book and also enough questions in the first part of a series for the readers, I feel like, to be engaged. So it's like you get tidbits of answers of what's going on and enough to be like, I want to learn more about it, to go and then pick up the second book. Because if you get all the answers in the first book, why the hell is it a series? You know, like you want that little trickle of knowledge to kind of like progress with you. I didn't think it was I think that where he stopped it was a good place for the ending of the book, because definitely, like, as someone who wants to learn like what classes and races they picked, like I was like, oh, that's kind of a huge motivator to just go ahead and pick up the second book.
All right, and finally, we'll ask our last question of this podcast. What do you think your first achievement would be upon entering the dungeon?
Let's be clear. I think you'd have to choose to go into the dungeon first before you can achieve anything.
Yeah.
And I am very clearly of the mindset that I'm not participating in the apocalypse should it happen. Yes. So my first achievement would be offing myself. Because no thank you.
Sam and I are on the same boat then, because that
I
was what
that's
I
Barbara's
said.
too.
My first achievement would be I give up achievement, because I do not care enough about my life to have to deal with this kind of stuff. I've already mentioned this multiple times on the podcast. If there is some type of zombie apocalypse, some dystopian crap happening to the earth, like, no thank you. I do not want to live through that. I have lived a nice, thorough life. I've enjoyed what I've done. I do not want to partake in any of this crap. I will just humbly take myself away from the game and just end it there, or maybe not even go down. I don't know what happens if you never entered. Do you just die? I'm not really sure.
I think you just die,
You just die in the same way that if you don't move to the next floor, you just
die. So I think I'll just do that. I'm just gonna pop a squat and just call it a good time.
See, I feel like I would have to do it for the plot. Like, I would need to know.
What plot?
My plot. My
Your
life.
plot. No, screw the plot.
I would have to. I would have to know, what it was like, and then if I got down there and it was like some crazy shit, then I could off myself at any point, But I would take Charlie with me. That's my golden doodle therapy dog. I would take him with me, so my first achievement would be the legendary pet box as well. So, and then hopefully I could get one of the magical whatever pet treats that
turn him into like a princess donut.
Yes.
So I was thinking through this, and my first thought was I would probably get because you got the crazy cat lady achievement for entering the dungeon with Princess Donut. But then I was like, you know what? You had to be outside for this to happen, and our cat doesn't go outside. He's afraid of the outside. So the only reason I'd be outside in the middle of the night would be with Quinny, our little dog. And so I'd get crazy dog lady. That'd be my achievement for bringing Quinny into the dungeon.
Would you also be outside in your pink Crocs?
If it was the middle of the night, I'd be in my pajamas.
He would definitely be like Carl. He would be in like his little boxers and maybe like a
maybe a tank top,
a tanky,
yeah.
No shoes,
and my yellow slides on. That's how I'd enter the dungeon.
I think about that, like the whole first part of the book. I'm like, honestly, like if the apocalypse happened, like it could happen at any time, and you're just stuck with whatever you're wearing.
Exactly.
Yep.
You never think about these things.
Right.
But strap on and be prepared.
Indeed.
So that is all the questions. Let's talk about our individual scores for this book. Barbara, what did you give it?
I gave it an 8. I thought it was funny. I liked the overall things that, like the theme, I hate when people talk about, I shouldn't say that. The themes is fine. It's whatever. Like the world building, the characters for the most part. I love Princess Donut, some of the side characters. Like I said, I enjoyed Carl. He's not a bad character. He's just kind of there for me though, but I enjoyed reading that. Like my only caveat I felt like was just the fact that you can definitely tell this was written by a man. And as someone who used to read a lot of male-centered books because that's all I had growing up in a fantasy genre, because that wasn't really a thing I feel like growing up, and now it's just kind of exploded and you see a lot of more female authors writing this kind of stuff, and I love that for us. I tend to not pick up books written by men. Oops. But when I do, I'm very more picky about what I'm choosing to read. And I was pleasantly surprised with this one. And there were little instances where I was just like, come on. But I believe I talked to Michael about this, and he said that unlike some other authors, and I'm not just saying men authors, like women authors are 100% problematic with this stuff as well. Like as a reader, you tell them like, hey, these are things maybe you could better the book for the overall enjoyment of your readers. And some authors are just like, screw you, I don't care, I'm not going to listen to you, which is, in their defense, they're the author, they are entitled to do that, whereas I think he listened to a lot of women who kind of had, I think, maybe similar issues that I had as well with it. And then he listened and he's made those changes. And I love that. I appreciate that. That's what I want to see. And I think that was
Brandon Sanderson, right? That's who you're calling.
Yeah, Brandon Sanderson also did that as well. Yeah. And so I enjoy that for what it is. And that's why I gave that score. I feel like I went on a tangent. My bad.
That's fair. We're here for to talk about this stuff. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I really liked the book. Couldn't really come up with anything wrong with it, but I've never given out a 10 out of 10. So 9 out of 10.
So just because you've never given a 10, you refuse to do it now. See, that's an issue, dude. At least I'm like, these are the issues I had with it. This is my score. Michael's like, I don't give out 10s.
I don't either, to be fair.
I mean, in the case of Lauren, she's like, I don't give. If you go back to season 1, season 2, Lauren never rated a book higher than like a 7.
This is
That's
true. True. Motherhood has changed.
And what did you give this one, Lauren? What did you give this book?
They gave me incessant crap for not giving a fair rating, so I rated this one a 9.
Not fair rating.
Also,
sorry, that number. Can you say that number one more time because that felt pretty high.
I gave it a 9.
Okay. Oh wow.
As well. Also, mostly because there wasn't much that I didn't like. I think if I were as into the like RPG stuff as you guys are, with the exception of Sam, like I think then I probably would have given it maybe a 10. I don't know, because I feel like some of it was lost on me, or like maybe some of the jokes like weren't as funny as they could have been if I understood it better. But that was really the only issue that I had with it. I didn't have any, like, I felt like the pacing was good. I never felt like I was like, gotta get on with it. Like I really think though that the audiobook, if it weren't for the audiobook, I think I would have had a whole different rating. So, but I give it a 9.
I'd agree with Barbara. This had a solid 8 out of 10 for me. By the end, it felt very repetitive. As he went through the battles, even though every battle was different, it just seemed to me that it was a bit rote at that point, and I was ready for something new to happen. Some new characters to come in, another floor, get on with this. The battle stretched on, and I wasn't getting enough Princess Donut.
That's fair.
I think I have to agree with that. Like, it was very... I'll be curious to know if the other books are gonna completely like change the dynamic as far as like more teammates or more other crawlers that we're gonna meet, like a new, like the floors gonna, because I think they said like the 3rd floor, the 6th floor, the 9th floor are like very different. So I'll be more excited for that, because after a while it did seem a little like repetitive.
Well, Michael, maybe you can give us a little insight into book 2. My friend that read it said that the way that the dungeon is structured really does change from book 1 to book 2. Can you give us a little peep into?
So in book 1, it's more like a traditional, like what you think of like a dungeon, the environment is very much dungeon. In book 2, it opens up with them choosing their classes and their race, which I'm not going to talk about because you can read the book and figure out what they chose. But beyond that, it opens up into the structure is like there's like cities and villages that they can go to, and the areas in between are when where the monsters are and the fighting happens.
Interesting.
So it is very, very different. Each floor is set up in a way that is slightly different to be, from this point forward, to be more entertaining for the audiences.
Okay, that's good to know. As a reader, I kind of feel like I'm one of those CEOs who's like paying for like the enjoyment of this, like, give me something better.
It's true.
So, anybody else have anything else to add about their scores? No? Cool. So let's wrap this up. Make sure you're following Badass Literature for free in your favorite podcast app. Give us a rating and leave us a review if they allow you to. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media. Our handle on Instagram, Facebook, and Goodreads is @BadassLitPod. Barbara, bring us home.
Have feedback about today's episode? You can contact us by writing to badassliteraturesociety@gmail.com. You can also send us a DM or leave a comment on any of our social media handles.
And if you want to give us a recommendation and be a guest like Sam,
yes, you too can.
Thank you again, everybody. Thank you. Yeah. This was fun.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Sam, for joining us as a special guest today. And with that, we'll wrap it up. I'm Michael.
I'm Barbara.
And I'm Lauren.
Sam.
Say it, Sam.
And you're Sam.
And I'm Sam.
Yeah!
Your guest extraordinaire.
Bye.
Number 1 guest in the whole time.
Yeah.